Okay, so tonight we're going to be discussing a very special topic, a topic that I believe is very important, that we should really focus on a lot more than what we do. As you could probably recall, recently in the news, there was this very, very tragic incident in Las Vegas where 58 people were killed. As this was happening, a policeman who was off duty ran in the hail of bullets to help, to shield, to save as many people as he could. And he was killed in the process. A year before this happened, he had already prepared his own funeral notes, or what he wanted to be said in his funeral. And one of the things he said, which struck me, was, "Remember me for what I was." In other words, when you talk about me, don't say how great I was. Only tell true stories. In the eulogy that was given for him, what was said, one of the things that was said, was that he was a remarkable officer killed by an unremarkable person. And as I was reading this, it caught my attention, and I realized it's time to speak about how to maximize one's potential. Because when we talk about a remarkable person, what are we really talking about? What makes someone remarkable? I think briefly we can say that what makes someone remarkable is someone that cares about others, that cares about his country, that is prepared to give his life, if necessary, for these ideals. I thought about this idea, I thought about this concept of caring about others. How nice it would be if more and more people cared sincerely about others. And I asked myself, then why is it that today we don't see so much devotion, so much care for others? And I think the quick answer is that people today are more overcome with the opposite trait of caring, and that's called apathy. You know what apathy is? To be indifferent, unsensitive to others. You can see in the way people talk to others, about others, how they dress. Nobody cares what they look like, what others people think about them. Complete apathy to others' opinion as well about life. Only they are right. A complete disconnect with others. The way I see it is that certain senses have become very, very dull. In the past, people were a lot more sensitive, cared a lot more. Something has happened to this generation, and I think it's about 30 years or so, where people's senses have become dulled. This apathy, one of the things that it causes is it leads to a lack of ambition. When one does not aspire to something, he's not willing to work hard. And you may ask, but wait a minute. There are millions of copies of books being sold these days about maximizing one's potential, how to become a leader. Good books with some good advice. Then why aren't people following it? I believe that a lot of these books, as good as they may be, they miss the target. In speaking about potential, what exactly are we talking about? The potential to make money? When we talk about leadership, what is exactly meant by leadership? To be a boss? To tell others what to do? What exactly is meant? I don't think that's very well communicated in these books. Because money is not something that we need to value. If we're talking about potential, it really should not be about the potential of making money. Why? People forget, or they've never learned what Judaism teaches, that one's earning abilities really depends on his mazal, fate, destiny. And besides that, you don't take it with you. So to make lots of money should not be something that we should strive for. Leadership, not everybody is born to be a leader. No matter how much you teach him and you give him tips, this is the way you can become a leader, it will not be effective. You will not go too far. And then what is important? What is important is what kind of a person I will be. Will I turn out to be a remarkable person? Or God forbid, an unremarkable person? That is where we have free will. That is where we make real important decisions. What kind of a human being will I be? And each one, every human being, regardless of his background, faith, belief, religion, has the potential to be a good individual. One who cares about others. The Torah teaches that a man or woman is not perfect or complete without the other. And when you read about this, you may think what the Torah meant was, well, you can't get along in life without a partner. That's not necessarily what the Torah meant. This is how you learn to care about another human being when you get married. This is how you perfect yourself. This is how you complete yourself. This is at least what was intended. So where are the mistakes being made? One mistake, perhaps even the first mistake that many people make, that actually limits their progress in life, is that if they have some weakness, they think, well, this is the way I was born. I can't change. And if we're talking about a marriage, one may tell the other, this is the way I am. Take it or leave it. That's not fair. That's not true. People may think, I'm not capable of more. They may really think that way. Or if they have failed, they may lose hope and say, well, I have no chance of coming back, of succeeding, of doing better. This is what a lot of people are thinking. So how do we describe this type of thinking? Having the wrong attitude. The rabbis teach us that in order to have the right attitude in life, especially when we face all kinds of hurdles, difficulties in life, many people have tzarot. They have problems of all kinds, whether in marriage or with their children or at work, neighbors, business, and the like. When people do have these difficulties, they should not look at them as tzarot, as problems. Don't express yourself to others who ask you how things are doing. I have many problems, many difficulties. Instead, what you should say is, I have many nisyonot. I have many challenges. That is a more correct attitude. That is really the correct perspective in how to see these difficulties in life. After all, we're all put here for a unique mission. And part of that mission are the difficulties that we will face. How will we deal with them? How will we handle them? Each individual has a unique mission. And because of this important fact, that life is purposeful, and each one has a mission unique to him, there's no room for jealousy. What are you jealous about someone else? He has his own issues, his own problems, his own mission. You want all the good that he has, but you have to take all the not good that he has too, all his challenges as well. No reason to be jealous. You know what jealousy does to a lot of people? It kills them. It's not healthy. Not only is it wrong, it's unhealthy. No reason to be jealous when you think about it, that each individual has his unique mission. It's only his, not yours. And this is what the rabbis teach us. A lot of people are unaware with the following saying by the rabbis, B'shimcha yikraucha uvimkomcha yoshivucha. They will call you in your name. They will place you where you belong. In other words, you will get the job that corresponds to you. You will be called what you're supposed to be called. If it's meant for you to be elected, you will be elected. The idea behind this is divine providence is involved in many, many aspects of our life. Why be jealous? This is not entirely in your hands. What is in your hands, as we said earlier, is what kind of a human being will you make of yourself. I want to share with you a beautiful story that really tells it all about how mazal works. There was once an individual, I think it happened in New York City, many, many years ago, who was an employee in a factory. Employees, minimal wage, but he was a good employee. He was so good that the owner approached him one day and says, listen, I'm going away on a long trip, an extended trip. I trust you. Therefore, I want to give you instructions as to what needs to be done while I'm away. Can you please write the instructions down? And the employee tells his boss, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to write. And the boss turns to him, I didn't know that about you. I'm really sorry for you, but I have to let you go. You're fired. I cannot have employees that do not know how to write. Okay. I think he compensated him, gave him some money, but he let him go. So what does he do? What does this individual do? Just give up? Just go stand on the line of unemployment? Cry to his wife? No. Got to go fetch work. Well, not everyone will take him. So he decided to work for himself. He opened up a kiosk. What do you sell in a kiosk? You know, those corner kiosks. Bubblegum, newspapers, all kinds of trinkets. And that's what he did. And it went very well for him. His business, small business, thrived. Well, it went so well that he opened up another kiosk. And then another kiosk. Many kiosks in town. And he was selling lots of newspapers. He made a lot of money. He made so much money that he decided one day, why should I buy the newspapers and sell them? I can print them myself. I can open up a publishing house. And I can grow. And that's what he did. He had enough money to buy a place, to buy the equipment, and he was able to sell even more newspapers. And he grew very, very much. He grew so much that a reporter came to interview him. She apparently knew that once upon a time he was just a plain, simple employee, and sure enough, with time he grew and succeeded. And now he has a very, very large, successful business. And she interviewed him. How did it all happen? And he told her the story. He was once fired, and he decided to open up his own little business. And little by little, he grew. And why were you fired? Because I didn't know how to write. So the reporter tells him, could you imagine? Had you known how to write, you would have even been smarter, even more successful. Had you known how to write, you could have accomplished a lot more in life. He says, lady, you have it all wrong. Had I known how to write, I would still be an employee in that factory. So you tell me, Is this mazal? What is this? It's not a coincidence. But I'm not here talking about mazalot now, about fate and destiny. There's a whole lecture about that. Look at his reaction. Look at his attitude. We call that in English resilience and faith. You know what resilience is? It's a very, very special word. It means that if you fell down, you pick yourself up and you continue. Nothing happened. You're able to bounce back and you don't give up hope. And you have faith. Resilience and faith. Very important qualities that are necessary to succeed in life. Not to give up hope. Have the right attitude. Also be prepared to work hard. Why do you need to be prepared to work hard? Why do you have to have faith and resilience? It just happens to be that in life not everything goes according to our plans. I think all of you know that. We think, we plan, we hope, but certain things don't work out the way we want them to work out. What are you going to do about it? You're going to complain? Judaism teaches שלפעמים יש ירידה לצורך עלייה. Sometimes a person falls, but that fall will help him become even stronger than he was before. As a result of that experience, difficult experience, he will learn from it. He will become stronger. It will teach him something. So, was that bad after all? So, we need to contend in life with all kinds of challenges. It's important, therefore, not to give up, to realize that things will pass, and perhaps this challenge will work out for my benefit somehow. Now, what happens when somebody falls as a result of his mistake? Something fell apart, his marriage, because of his mistake. He may not admit it right away, but once he begins to think about it, he realizes that it was his mistake. After all, we all make mistakes. A very important quality that can help us improve for the future is the willingness to accept critique. Not everybody likes criticism. But if you want to improve and you admit your mistake, then you need to be prepared to accept critique from others. Not everybody is willing to accept critique. They don't readily admit their mistakes. But mistakes happen. And if you're not going to accept responsibility, how are you going to advance? How are you going to pick yourself up and do what is necessary so that those mistakes not repeat themselves? People run away from responsibilities. You know how? They blame it on others. How do we know this? From Adam and Chava, from the very first story in the Torah. Hashem asks Adam, why did you eat from the fruit I told you not to eat? She made me do it. See, they're already blaming the women. What about Chava? Did she say, I'm sorry? No, no, no. The serpent. It's his fault. What? Everybody's blaming each other. Take responsibility. Blame yourself. You're the cause of the mistake. Nothing wrong with that. Don't run away from responsibilities. It's very, very healthy to assume responsibilities. That is how we mature. Nothing wrong with it. And this will help you. But admitting one's mistake is important for another very, very important reason. Admitting one's mistakes is what teshuvah in Judaism is all about, repentance. When we talk about repentance or correcting our ways, rectifying a wrong, we're talking about two areas. It could be ben adam lechavero or ben adam lamakom. It could be between man and his fellow man or between us and God. Okay? Two separate areas, two important areas. This, what we call teshuvah, is really the key. Really the key to maximizing our potential. Because when we talk about real potential, what are we really talking about? Remember I said not about money. We're talking about mastering self-control. We're talking about improving relationships. That is within our potential to become better people. That is where we need to put more effort. So in speaking about teshuvah being the key to succeeding in these areas, we have to understand how teshuvah works. Why is it so important to repent, to ask forgiveness, to say I'm sorry? First of all, what teshuvah accomplishes, himorida mechitzot, it brings down barriers. There is a barrier between man and God that prevents his prayers from reaching him because of those barriers, sins, offenses, transgressions, wrongs that were committed. Bring down those barriers. You want to have a relationship with him? You want him to listen to you? You've got to bring down those barriers. Then there are the barriers between human beings. People put up barriers. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. You did this to me. You did that. Teshuvah. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I didn't mean it. I made a mistake. Take down that barrier that is there that's causing distance. So many families, brothers and sisters, do not talk to each other. Don't say I'm sorry to each other. Don't go to each other's weddings. We're talking about family members. And guess why? Most of the time, or many times, it's about money. Take down those barriers. You can do something about it. Did you try? Yes, I tried. They don't want to. They're not interested. Maybe you have to try a little bit harder. Do you really want to bring down the barrier? If you're interested in bringing down barriers, you got to try hard. And you may succeed. You never know. What else does teshuvah accomplish? It brings about mechila. Hashem forgives us, gives us a second chance. You're sincere, you repent, you want to start a new chapter in your life, even though you've had it wrong all these years. That's okay. I allow you to make a U-turn. The police maybe not, but I will allow you to make a U-turn and start all over again. This can happen between a husband and wife too. 25 years of a very, very bad relationship. Very difficult to bring them back together. They've lost feelings for each other, but it's not impossible. They both come to the same understanding. We've made mistakes. We're both guilty. And we really, really want to do something different now. It is possible. Will it happen? Not so easy. Because not everybody is willing to work hard to do what it takes to improve a relationship, whether it's between us and God or between other human beings, between us and others. What else does teshuvah do? It reminds us that we're, after all, only humans. We're prone to mistakes. It's okay, it can happen. So teshuvah reminds us that, listen, if you've committed a wrong, go ahead and fix it. Teshuvah reminds us that we can fix. It's not beyond hope. It's not beyond repair. Lo hakol avud, not everything is lost. It is possible to make amends. That's what teshuvah reminds us of. However, I would like to emphasize one more detail that many, many people forget. Why teshuvah, repentance, is important. The rabbis tell us in the Midrash, you know why you should feel bad if you committed a wrong? Not because of the wrong itself, which is bad enough, but for some other reason. Ki niftach lecha petach, because now the door is wide open. It will be easier for you from now on to do it all over again. You've done it once, even if it was unintentional, the door is open. It just becomes easier. The rabbis tell us, avera goreret avera, one sin leads to another. You've done it once, you won't have the strength, the courage to hold yourself back the second time. It's going to be harder. So therefore, feel bad about the fact that there's an opening there, that if you don't close it right away with teshuvah, it will unfortunately make it happen again. In the same way that a avirah, a sin leads to another sin, mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One mitzvah, one good deed leads to another good deed. There is momentum. So you want to have momentum to do good things, to strive to do positive things. You don't want to have momentum to do the wrong things. That's where teshuvah comes in. That is why the Torah is so strong about doing teshuvah. Even if you've fallen between the cracks, as they say, even if you've done the most terrible things, stop it. You can stop it. And you can change. You can repent. You may not be able to fix everything. You may not be able to fix all the damage that was done. But at the very least, you will close that opening, that it should not lead you to continue along the same wrong path. If you don't close that opening, what's there stopping you from continuing and doing it all over again? Teshuvah, remorse, regret, asking forgiveness is very, very powerful. It helps. What we see so far is that the commitment to change direction in life is essential for self-improvement. A commitment is necessary. Without this commitment, it is not possible to maximize one's potential. Maximizing one's potential requires work. It requires the readiness, the willingness to do what it takes to change course, to correct one's mistakes from the past, to perhaps consider another method or another approach in tackling a problem that you did not succeed last time around. Therefore, don't wait for others to criticize you. It is advisable for one to critique himself. How many people do you know who do that? Critique yourself. Challenge yourself and expect more of yourself. 3 things here. Critique yourself, challenge yourself, and expect more of yourself. After all, no one is perfect, right? You can always expect more and do more. This, of course, takes a lot of thinking. This takes some planning. Challenging yourself, because sometimes you may be surprised. You may think you're not capable, but if you set out in doing something that you never tried before, you just may do it. You may succeed. If you never tried, you would never know if you would have succeeded or not. Imagine coming upstairs and they telling you, what a waste of a life. Had you only tried a little bit more, you would have succeeded. You did not maximize your potential because you did not try hard enough. One of the areas where people really make a big mistake, which is also a factor in not enabling them to maximize their potential, is that they put their energy in the wrong place. We cannot spread ourselves thin. You cannot be everywhere and give everybody your attention at the same time. We have to have priorities. Some things are more important than others. And that's one thing that one needs to really contemplate about if he wants to maximize his potential. Where am I investing, putting all that energy, or most of my energy in? Trivialities? Reading the newspapers? Playing ball? Work? What for? Is that what's most important for you? What about your family, your children, your marriage? Where are you putting all that energy in? Because you don't have too much left over after a whole day's of work. To better understand this, just look at certain countries in the world, how they're investing so much money and effort and time in buying or developing more and more missiles. You think only kids have toys? Adults have toys too. And they like to show off their big missiles. Look how destructive, look how powerful this missile is. Look how far it can go. We're going to defend ourselves with all these missiles. Is that all what you're thinking about? Defending yourself, strong army, bigger and more powerful missiles? Yeah, some countries, that's all they're thinking about. Or at least they're putting so much money, energy, and effort into this. Why? To destroy, to win a war. That's what they're thinking about. Could you imagine what this world would look like if there was less investment on all these adventures of sending spaceships to faraway planets? If they used all that money to care about others, to help each other, this world would look completely different. The world has potential. We have the manpower, we have resources, but there's no will. There's no desire, no true interest to really, really help as many human beings as possible come out of poverty, to live a decent life, to get along. Not enough effort is being made in that. Instead, look how much money is being spent on all kinds of adventures. I call them adventures, even though there's, of course, some perhaps scientific gain from some of these projects, but for the most part, a lot of these pet projects are pet projects. Waste of money and time that could really be used elsewhere. Now you will perhaps understand why Yeshayahu, the prophet Isaiah, in the very beginning, when he's describing the Messianic era, one of his prophecies, one of the famous prophecies that a lot of people have heard about, is that there will come a time that people will transform their swords into plows. Remember that? V'chitetu charvotam le'itim. The first impression you may get when you read this pasuk is, oh great, that's a sign of peace in the world. No more swords, no more missiles, no more tanks. But I think the message is a lot stronger. It's not just about peace, that there's no more need for war. To transform swords into plows means that man will realize where his effort should go into, where all the money and effort should be invested. He will realize the mistakes that he has made in squandering all that money and energy in areas that don't deserve it. That is what will happen. People will come to that realization of what is really important in life. I always say that it's interesting how man is very resourceful, ingenious, in attempting to discover other worlds. Really, it's something to admire how they've perfected the system of sending a spaceship millions of miles away, billions of miles away, with great precision. To do what? To discover other worlds. But what about man's own world himself? He hasn't discovered. He's not even trying to. Why don't you try to discover yourself? You want to maximize your potential? You got to know yourself. You got to be familiar with your strengths, with your weaknesses. You have to perhaps change your attitude. Begin by discovering yourself. One of the advices that I give people when they really want to change their lifestyle and they want to do really things in a better way, in a more correct way, is to begin by valuing your time. Begin with valuing time. Don't throw away your time. Or as they say in this country, let's kill time. Let's kill the time? The most precious asset that we have is our time. Begin by valuing your time. Life is short. Therefore, don't waste it. Don't waste all that energy you have. When you reach your 60s and your 70s, you may not have too much strength anymore. Even though you want to do the right thing now, you can't. Not because you're not in the mood. Maybe you're in the mood, but physically, do it now. Don't push it off for tomorrow. Perhaps there's some additional advice that we can share that I've read about that I think can go a long way to helping us maximize our potential and improving those areas in life that need improvement. So I'm going to share with you a few ideas. Number one, do you believe in a cause? If you don't believe in a cause, then what are you going to aspire to do? You're not going to have any ambition, any desire to get anywhere. Is there any cause that you believe in? I'm talking about a good cause. You need to have something to aspire for. And if you do have such a cause, it's okay to dream. Nothing wrong with dreaming about what you would like to be, as long as it's realistic. Dream about it, or as they say in English, aim high. Why? Why should I aim high? Because you know what? If you aim high, at least you'll get maybe half the way. You may not get to the top of the summit like you dreamt about, but still, go ahead and dream. Aim high, because at least you'll get halfways. Better than nothing. It's something. Next, do you care about yourself? Is that important? They call that in psychology self-esteem. People don't have self-esteem. You think they're going to care about others? It's going to be a lot tougher for them to care about others if they don't care about themselves. As we said in the very beginning, there's a lot of apathy today. People don't care. So it begins with yourself. Do you care about yourself? You want to care about others? It has to be first that you care about yourself. Next, speaking about hard work. That's always a necessity. I'm not talking about making money right now. We're talking about self-improvement. We're talking about maximizing one's potential as far as relationships are concerned, in becoming a better person, a better human being. Yes, hard work. And you will see why soon. Are you willing to work hard to achieve those goals? In speaking about hard work, I'm reminded by what Winston Churchill said once. He says, continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential. Continuous effort, yeah. If you don't succeed today, try and try again. Continuous effort. Be very, very careful with destructive habits. A lot of people really have noble goals. They really want to do the right thing. They even try. But they have what I call destructive habits. They're very, very destructive, these habits. And I'm not talking about drugs or alcohol. Something called anger. Yes? One of the most destructive habits, or one of the most destructive characteristics or qualities that people have when they become upset at someone. Be upset at yourself. Be angry at yourself, maybe. Be careful with anger, because when people get angry, the Zohar says they lose control, total control over themselves. They say things and do things they later regret. A lot of irreparable damage is done when people are angry. Be very careful with anger. It's going to be a real obstacle in improving one's ways, in trying to maximize one's potential. It's going to get in the way sooner or later. You can't let it get to you. We're not going to talk about how to overcome anger right now. We don't have the time for that. But I do have lectures about self-improvement, a whole series on close to 40 qualities and characteristics. Advice for each one of them. Some advice of what one can do to help himself, if he is sincere about it, if he really means it. It is possible. It can be managed. If there's a will, there's a way. So be careful with anger. What else is a very, very terrible, destructive midah quality? Shlomo Melech Solomon speaks a lot about it. in Mishlei, in Proverbs. Laziness. People who are lazy and cannot overcome, I should say, not that they cannot, do not want to overcome their laziness, don't try hard enough, they lose out in life. But wait a minute, wouldn't you get up early in the morning to catch that flight? Why are you willing to do it for that and not for other things that are perhaps even more important? And by the way, if you got up once early, that means you can if you want to. You've proven it to yourself. So laziness is another area that can really, really be a hindrance in not enabling an individual to achieve his true potential, even though he wants to, even though he's willing to work hard, but he's lazy. So anger and laziness are just two examples of characteristics that can ruin it for you. Speaking about leadership, what is really leadership? Leadership is really self-control. That is true leadership. It's not about bossing around others. Here, do this. 10 steps to becoming an effective leader. What kind of a leader are you talking about? How to manage your company? Obviously, that is important. People need to have the skills to run a company. Not everybody's a born leader, as I said. Yes, certain qualities are necessary to lead others. But true leadership is one who has self-control. He's a leader over his evil inclination. He's not a slave of his evil inclination, of his habits. He leads, he controls, not that he is being controlled. A lot of people are being controlled by their evil inclination. You want to be a leader? It begins by working on one's midot. This is a very important area in life stressed in Judaism. Working on midot means working on self-improvement, improving certain qualities that need our attention. It could be anger, it could be laziness, it could be stinginess. These areas require work. And it's not just, no, that's the way I was born, I can't change. Don't ever say that. It's not true. You may not be able to change your nature completely, but you can form good habits. You can learn to restraint. You can learn to control yourself. People have shown that they can do that with stopping smoking, for example. So true leadership is in the area of self-control. That is where it really matters. That's where it counts. Another piece of good advice is a famous passage that the rabbis tell us, Tafasta merube lo tafasta. You're all happy and excited, you read a good book, and you say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm really, really going to get started tomorrow. I'm going to push it off for mañana, which is not a good idea. You start now, well, okay, fine, you're going to start tomorrow, okay. And I'm going to do all of this, all of the tips that I just read about, that I was told. Not a good idea. Rabbis tell us if you grab too much at once, you won't get anywhere. I was thinking about this saying, how to say it in English. You know, in Spanish they say, quien abarca mucho poco aprieta. Whoever tries to grab a lot will hold on to very little. Or in Portuguese, quem muito quer, pouco tem. Whoever wants a lot, desires a lot, will have very little. How do you say this in English? So I looked it up, and I came up with, you probably know about the saying, a jack of all trades, a master of none. Have you heard about that? It's cute. Yeah, there are people who are a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Or, another saying, don't bite more than you can chew. Something like that. You can't handle everything at once. Don't be misled to thinking that it's okay, you can do it. No, it's not possible. It won't work. And there's a danger of that you will lose any gains that you've made already. Develop one trait at a time. Make one commitment at a time. Let's see if you can keep it for a month. If you've kept a commitment for a year, I think you will notice a big difference in yourself too. People can really transform themselves if they have succeeded with their commitments for a long period of time, they will notice that transformation in them. It may be a year, maybe more. But if you take on too much, if you assume to have too many responsibilities, it's going to be very, very difficult. It's going to fail. People sometimes are really excited. They're inspired by some story they read, and they really, really want to accomplish a lot. The Chafetz Chaim of blessed memory used to say something very, very important in Yiddish. Medaf nicht ofton, medaf ton. Don't worry about accomplishment, achieving. You just got to do. You do what you need to do. How much you achieve, whether a lot or little, that's not up to you. If you think about accomplishment, you may not accomplish so much. You may be disappointed too. Don't think about accomplishing a lot. I got to do this, I got to do that, I'm going to change the whole world. You just got to do. That's your only duty. Do as much as you can. And as the saying goes in Arabic, minnak al-haraka wa min Allah al-baraka. Similar in Farsi too. You make the effort, and God will bless. The effort has to be made by you. You try your best, and then the blessing will come. But how much you will have accomplished, only God knows. Don't worry about that. Just do. Get started. Do as much as you can. Rabbi Salanter, blessed memory, who was the one that started the Musar movement of teaching Jews to contemplate a little bit on that which needs to be improved. Musar means ethics. More and more effort, he says, and more time needs to be spent on learning Musar on a daily basis. Learning from books that teach, that guide on how to improve your life, how to improve your relationship with others, how to conquer a certain weakness, a certain quality that you may have. So he's the one that really started this movement and put great emphasis on spending time on a regular basis learning this. Without learning about this, what's going to awaken you? What's going to remind you? Who's going to criticize you? The book will. If nobody tells you, either because they're afraid of you, or simply they don't care about you, who's going to tell you where you're wrong? Look yourself in the mirror. That book, which will tell you, wow, yeah, that's me. This is what I have to do. And I better do it for my own good. And he goes on to say, Rabbi Salanter, that whoever did not conquer at least one quality, one trait, one midah in his life, he did not achieve anything in his life. Because this is part of what life is all about. He's overcoming our weaknesses. This is part of man's challenge in this world, in this life. If you've accomplished this, or you've gained self-control at least in one area in life as far as character is concerned, that is truly a major achievement. When it comes therefore to maximizing one's potential, let's not forget, what potential are we talking about? Not the potential of making money, of being famous. That is not so important, really. Your potential of transforming yourself, of becoming a better person, a better husband, a better friend, a better father, that is within our capacity. We decide that, not mazal from above. Have you at least made an effort in that area? Then there is, of course, changing others. Can we really change others? Is that possible? Well, you first have to change yourself. You cannot transform the world, you cannot change others unless you first change yourself. Otherwise, your words are not going to be effective. And I'm not talking here about just leading by example here. What I mean over here is that sometimes people can do things, not even realizing it, that can be very, very damaging to others by saying the wrong thing. You want to change someone? Then be careful what you say to them. Because what you say to them can make a world of a difference. As I saw one author write the following: a word of encouragement from a spouse can save a marriage. A word of encouragement from a teacher to a child can change a life. Very true. Words of encouragement. We need encouragement, and so do others. You want to help people? Well, you first have to care about them. And once you care about them, you still have to know what to say to them. Imagine somebody visiting the sick. It's my favorite example. Someone who's sick. And he's a young man, 25, 26 years old. And you ask him, what do you have? I have this and this problem, this and this illness. He says, oh really? I know somebody exactly like that who died with this illness when he was 23. You just killed him. Don't do that. Where's the tact? People go to a house of mourning to comfort the mourners. First question, what did he die of? Where's your sensitivity? You've come there to share in their loss, in their pain. Don't be curious. Be helpful. People don't have the tact, they don't have the understanding. But it's more than that, they don't have the sensitivity. That's where it all begins. You want to begin by changing other people? You first begin with yourself. Become a caring person, a sensitive person. And then, hopefully, the words that you say will have a great impact on others. I'd like to end with a very cute story, but I think the message is very, very powerful. There was a school in Manchester, England, an Orthodox Jewish school that catered to kids that came from secular homes. Some of them do not believe in God. And as this teacher was giving a class to these students, one student, a very tall student, got up and said, I don't really believe in God. My father says that all of this Judaism stuff was only really made up in the past 10 years or so. To which the teacher responded, it doesn't matter whether you believe in God or not. He believes in you. And I say the same. He believes in every one of you. Thank you.